Dipavali or Diwali. It is the day in Ram Leela when after 14 years exiled into the forest, Ram, Sita and Lakshman return to Ayodhya. And everyone welcomes them with the lamps of their love. For this festival, Yashoda Mai woke up very early in the morning because she wanted to churn special yogurt into butter for the pleasure of Krishna, Gopal, who was sleeping in his little bed. As she was churning, making butter. She would sing songs about Krishna's pastimes. See, Vrindavan, when Krishna was out herding the cows during the day, he would perform so many leelas. This is later on, of course. Or the calves. And the gopas would tell all the other Brijavasis, and all day the next day they would just be remembering and composing beautiful songs about those pastimes. When Krishna was just a small child, Yashoda Mai was with him all day and all night. And practically everything he did, everything he said, was so absolutely charming. It was permanently imprinted in Yashoda Mai's heart. And her and the other gopis would compose beautiful poems just to help each other remember Krishna 24 hours a day. So she would be singing about Krishna. Not exactly to help them remember. More accurately, it was just an expression of their spontaneous love to compose these songs. And as she was singing about Krishna's beauty, Krishna's pastimes, immersed in remembrance of him, milk began to flow from her breasts. Now God is Atmarama. He's self-satisfied. God is not in need of anything. But his nature is he is always hungry for the love of his devotees. As that milk was flowing from Yashoda Mai, it was her motherly love for Krishna manifesting. Now, as has been explained so many times before, Krishna does not accept what you offer, but the intention in which it is offered. So many ladies throughout history, milk comes out of them. But it doesn't wake Krishna up. But Yashoda Mai, it was her love. That milk was her love. And Krishna was so thirsty for that milk that he woke up and came out of his bed, walked right over to Yashoda Mai and put one hand on the churning rod to stop her and demanded, "Stop all this other business and give me your milk." So her heart melted, and Krishna climbed up on her lap, and she began to feed him her milk. And oh, how he was enjoying that love. So beautiful. This is God, who in some religions appears as a very, very stern father who throws thunderbolts and destroys universes. Mahavishnu, Karunadakshayi Vishnu, is only an expansion of an expansion of an expansion of an expansion of Gopal. And what happens when he sucks? Yes. Little Gopal was sucking Mother Yashoda's milk with all his might. He was really sucking enthusiastically. Mahavishnu, when he sucks, the entire universe goes into his belly. Not the universe, the entire cosmic manifestation, all the unlimited universes. So this is Krishna, conquered by the love of his devotee. Who's more lovable? Mahavishnu devouring cosmic manifestations, or Krishna crying for the milk of his mother? Should we take a vote? Mahavishnu. Say Hari Bol if Krishna is your vote. You are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So Krishna was enjoying his mother's love. But then the milk started boiling over in the next room where she had milk cooking. And that was the very, very special milk, Padmagandha milk, that was sweet like lotus nectar, from the choicest of the cows of all Nanda Maharaj's herd. And that milk was so sacred, so fragrant, so nutritious. And she was making a special preparation just for Krishna on Diwali. So she put Krishna down so that she could save that milk so she can offer something so delicious to Krishna. It was all for Krishna. But Krishna wanted to attract the whole world for all time to come. So he was thinking why she has left. He wanted to teach the world that exclusive devotional service for the pleasure of Krishna is the highest perfection. So he appeared to be angry, and he took a stone and broke the pot that she was churning. Then he went to the next room, and he saw a grinding mortar. And he climbed up the grinding mortar, and there was some butter in a clay pot hanging from ropes from the ceiling. So he broke it open. He reached up and started to eat it, and then he called the local monkeys. And so many monkeys came into the house, or into the courtyard of Yashodamai, and Krishna was personally feeding all the monkeys. In his heart of hearts, he was thinking, in my past life as Lord Ramchandra, you risked so much to serve me by fighting that battle against Ravana, and at that time I was living in the forest and I had nothing to give you in return. So now come and take this butter. So the monkeys were enjoying, and Krishna was enjoying, and Yashodamai came back after saving the milk, and Krishna was gone. The pot's broken. Where is he? Then she saw his little tiny butter footprints on the floor. She followed them. And there, Krishna was on the grinding mortar, eating butter and feeding it to monkeys. And meanwhile, many of his friends were watching. And he was looking very nervously in all directions to see if his mother was coming. She picked up a stick. Not to hit him. She would never hit him. But she had to teach him a lesson. She wanted to show him the stick. Prabhupada in Gurukul, he said, never hit children, but you can show them a stick if they disobey. So Mother Yashoda picked up a stick And she was very quietly sneaking up to Krishna. The monkeys saw her. And they were so scared. They all started diving through the windows and diving away and running away. And then Krishna looked around and he saw his little cowherd friends all running away. Then he saw Yashoda Maya approaching him with stick. So he jumped off the grinding mortar and ran. Yashoda ran after him. He was running, she was running, he was running, and she was running. Flowers were falling from her hair. Some of the flowers were on Krishna's side, and some were on Yashoda's side. The ones that were on Yashoda's side, they were thinking to themselves that she's having such difficulty catching Krishna. Maybe our excess weight is slowing her down. So they dove to the floor to make her lighter. And those that were on Krishna's side were thinking that she's going to catch Krishna and punish him. We don't want to be a part of this. So they jumped off. Ultimately, no one can catch Krishna. But by Krishna's own will, he was captured by his mother's love. And Krishna was crying. He was actually crying. And the kajal, the black mascara around his eyes, were mixing with his tears, and it was flowing and making streaks down his face and on his chest. His lips were quivering. His limbs were trembling. His eyes were restlessly moving in different directions. He couldn't even look at his mother. And he cried out, "Mother, Mother, please put down that stick. I'm sorry. I promise I'll never do this again. Just give me another chance." Queen Kunti remembered this scene in great love. And she was glorifying Krishna. That he who is feared by fear personified was afraid of his mother. Now in Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter, we read about the Virat Rupa, the universal form. Even Arjuna, the most fearless warrior in all of the world, he was very much afraid to see this darshan of Krishna. Well, the Virat Rupa is just an expansion of an expansion of an expansion, insignificant expansion of Gopal. He's the original source of all incarnations, the original source of all existence. His personification in this world is all devouring time. Was he really afraid of his mother? Was he just pretending to make the pastime interesting? Was it just like a show? No, he really was afraid. Achintya Shakti, Krishna's inconceivable potencies. By the power of his mother's love, he was actually exhibiting these feelings. This is the sweetness and the beauty of Krishna. He who is beyond all fear exhibits these emotions in reciprocation to the pure unalloyed love of his mother. Yashoda Maya didn't like to see Krishna like this, so she threw the stick around. Krishna, you should not be so naughty. She had other chores to perform that day. It was a holy day. And to protect Krishna from doing other mischief, because he was very mischievous that day. After all, there were monkeys with claws, and there were bulls with horns, and there were insects and so many ways that he could hurt himself. So while she was performing her duties, she took a silk rope, the same rope that is used to tie the calves, and she was going to bind Krishna around the waist and tie him to the grinding mortar. But as she put the silk rope around Krishna's waist, it was 2 fingers too short. What to do? She picked up another piece of rope, tied a tight knot, put the 2 ropes together, put it around Krishna's waist. It was exactly 2 fingers too short. Another rope, bigger rope, tied that with the other 2 ropes. When she put it around Krishna's waist, it was 2 fingers too short. She picked up every rope in the entire house. And soon other gopis found out about this. And they all came from their houses with all their ropes. There were mountains of ropes in Yashoda's Mai's house, and all the gopis together were helping Yashoda Mai tie them all together. And even though there was enormous proportions of ropes all tied together, when she went to put it around Krishna's waist, it was exactly 2 fingers too short. This is God. Krishna didn't grow. It's not that Krishna became fatter and fatter and fatter. He was the same. His waist was probably this big, and the ropes could have circumambulated Bombay. But it was always 2 fingers too short. Now, if you ask a mathematician to try to figure out how that's possible, the only conclusion is you have to surrender to Krishna to understand. Krishna's inconceivable. Krishna can put a banyan tree into a banyan seed. For Krishna, he's unlimited. One time Yashoda Mai looked in Krishna's mouth to see if he ate dirt, and she saw the entire universe within his belly, within his mouth. But his mouth didn't grow. She saw all the planets, and all the devatas, and all the human beings, and all the 8,400,000 species of life. She saw herself. Everything in a mouth this big. That is Krishna. So Yashoda Mai, she was perspiring. Her sari was loosening. She kept tying more and more and more ropes, and some of the gopis were saying, "Don't you see, Krishna's not going to let you tie him up." Some were saying that God must be in favor of Krishna. He doesn't want him to be tied up. After all, there's no way. But Yashoda Mai was so motherly. She was thinking, no, I will tie him. And she was, in her mind, she was thinking, I have to protect him no matter what. And she was also thinking, I just have to find out how much rope it's going to take to bind my son. And seeing the determination of her love, Krishna allowed himself to be bound by a tight knot. Those 2 fingers, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, they are representative. To bind Krishna, 2 things are important. One is our enthusiasm. Our enthusiasm and determination to serve under all circumstances. But that's not enough. The other is Krishna's mercy. unless Krishna allows himself to be tied. No matter what we do, we cannot do. Our enthusiasm is just an expression of our sincerity to attract Krishna's mercy. There's a verse in the Gita, Ragadvesha Vimuktaishtu. What is that verse? Vishayanindriyashtaran Atma Vishaya Prasadam Adhigachati. That one who follows the regulative principles of freedom, who follows the path of bhakti sincerely, can attain the mercy of the Lord. And by that mercy we become free from all the attachments and aversions of this world. Krishna wanted to show the world for all time to come that he is conquered by the love of his devotee. He wanted to show the world forever that bhakti, love and devotion, is the supreme power, because it is the power of Srimati Radharani, Krishna's supreme pleasure potency. All devotion is her power. Even a drop of her love that manifests through any of our hearts can conquer Krishna. When we are totally conquered by love for Krishna, Krishna is conquered by that love. That is the deepest mystery and highest secrets of all wisdom cultures and all scriptures. Krishna was bound by the rope of Yashoda's affection. Affection. But then Krishna, when Yashoda Mai went back to do her duty, he wanted to perform some more mischief. Apparently. He saw two Arjuna trees in the courtyard and he crawled and pulled that grinding mortar between the trees and then crawled a little more, and both the trees crashed down to the ground. And Nalakuvera and Manigriva came out of those trees. Two great demigods. Sons of Kuvera, who were extremely arrogant. And because of that arrogance, they were selfish and disrespectful. And they offended the great Rishi Narada. Out of his mercy, he understood nothing less than making them into trees will curb their pride. But let them become Krishna's associates.